The beast wants to live. It wants to rip off its clothes and breathe. It wants to bring down the walls so it can feel the sun again. It wants to burn this world down so it can once more go back to sleep and dream the human dream. The great human dream that still holds the primate's first gaze into the dark sky void, and recreates that moment through many instances in the shared dream world, perhaps trying to find what's behind the stars, the pinholes on our ceiling. It seems that through our extended participation in the global exchange of information, we have slowly come to witness an emergent phenomenon which is pushing us back into source, the primal soup, so we can be dissolved again and reconstituted with new organs that will help us remember our origins and create myths that maintain our links to them. The beast has been buried, and billions of icons of it erected in electric form, surging from its hearth, arising like wild mushrooms from our subconscious mycelium, acting like totems that hold us captive while we play civilization. These totems have become more prevalent and grotesque the more we have strayed. Pop culture and its invocations of the original sacrificial rites, without the wisdom inherent to them, are now common throughout most of human populations. All that is characteristic of a modern, well-adapted, civilized person covers the brutal nature of our teeth and digestive systems, prolonged into the phallus and its receiving end. Their churning produces the necessary anesthesia that keeps our inner animal dormant, the one of pure volition. The more we stray as a collective, the more the beast hungers. Its hand struggles in the dark, trying to find the off switch. "What are you doing to me?" it cries at times, before falling back and being buried again under layers of compound conditioning. But the individual does not remember these few instances of dissociating pain. It awakens the inner, and for a brief moment shows us a flipped reality in which the world becomes the schism and the beast becomes the world, and all its potential. It all makes sense for a split second, all complexities condensed into a single will to break free. How long can a volcano be kept at bay? How long can the lie of modern man hold back the surging primal killer that once asserted itself in the flesh? Its dignity held in its simplicity, where reason is just a means to survive and culture arises as a necessity to understand. The initial seed of a humankind that eventually devours itself through the acceleration of these same basic tools we use to contend with the world and expand into it. We all want it. You feel it when your eye twitches and your hand trembles at the sight of an advertisement that clearly mocks your participation in the absurdity of modern life. When hatred takes over and you can almost smell the welcoming clean air that follows the race to the bottom of the spine. We all hate this world, but admitting it means following a gut truth rather than dogma. A truth closer to the unintelligent power of a hurricane, one that silences all and leaves you naked. The same truth that allows you to face death rather than exacerbating life. The effigies of the inner beast seem to come in so many different forms, from explosive laughter and its masking of pain, to different forms of suicide, slow or immediate, a sacrifice to the beast, so that it no longer has to hunger in a world that can only administer pseudo-food and pseudo-life, pseudo-exploring and pseudo-philosophizing. Philosophizing in circles rather than in breaking walls, philosophizing like trapped mice rather than rhinos. Perhaps the only way to satisfy this beast is to terminate one's own body, either immediately or slowly, as through culture, so that it no longer has to take part in this fastidious experiment of modernity, dignity being more important than life. It does seem like a commonly felt experience, only amplified by confirmation through our information sharing, and therefore the sharing of our collective sickness. What led to this? How did we devolve into these chemical junkies, trained to categorize in order to place each person into a labeled box? How did we manage to teach so many to love a poison-ridden world, where one parasitizes on another and both derive some sort of pleasure from it? Predators and prey are both satisfied in this sickening dance, since the offer is always in the air for today's prey to become tomorrow's predator. If this link fails, it leads to revolutions, exacerbated by a shift in power at the top. Millions die, and the knot is tightened even further. Then we pretend that it was a different kind of human being that conducted the well-known procedures of human recycling. We know it so well. It lives in our spines. The reptiles inherited Earth by remaining dormant within the mammal, controlling only the deepest motivations. The death drive seems to win out in every equation, and Moloch laughs all along. In our constant fear of a precarious state, we have through the millennia finally fortified our built world very much in a way similar to how a body isolates a tumor. The tumor being the beast. It is now an uncomfortable appendage, in some cases creating history-altering monsters and their flocks, while in others creating schizophrenics that can't bear to hear another lie uttered by an automaton called normal human. The standard way of viewing the world has always been by increasing the unrealized and unattainable in the form of promises, always holding our core motivations back and sublimating until sickness is norm, and all intrusions of the inner are obfuscated by the herd. If any of this has a purpose, it could only be that of creating perfect automata that become very adept at perceiving instances that threaten to burst the bubble of illusion. A bubble which redirects all attacks inwards and turns them into matter for further use. A cell wall that maintains its DNA intact, the illusion of immortality. It doesn't require much effort to see the problems that come with thinking of ourselves as somehow removed from our animal origins. You see two hands of organic matter. They are you, in fact. You hunger and you suffer, and then you die. And those who follow are further removed from their own nature due to the fact that the world is built on the premise that we can transcend life, while the parasitic class at the top knows it well and simply accepts the beast's nature that leads to such circumstances. No global collapse has ever broken that wrong assumption about ourselves. It might just be an emergent phenomena that always wins out, due to fear of death being the most powerful drive in animals that are aware of death being an end to their own being. Therefore, the part of them that experiences life, not the one that procures it, is the one that wants to acquire immortality. We can mitigate it in clever ways, that is, the fear of death. But the world, finally functioning as its own living simulation of rationing, has taken its own course, and now revolves around the breeding of surplus human flesh that carries a surplus of human ideas for it to replicate through time without altering course, and brings about a state of stasis for the individuals while they are carried like capsules from one organ to another, through their own volition. The cancerous ideas that created a cancerous world came about through weakness and hubris combined, a bad combination, the same combination that leads to envy and revenge, but also the very human capability to world build. This gift of world building is being wasted. Perhaps it can only create a world that doesn't contradict the breathing, living animal by manifesting through dreams and not through the material world itself. that dreams are bound to ultimately. So in a sense, the effigies of our beast are erected every time we dream, showing how our wills dissolve all the wrong assumptions we collect during the daytime. Every night your inner beast untangles this mess and points you in the right direction. We fight the reflections of the human world in our dreams, and a part of us is still fighting the natural world that preceded it, always showing us what we really want. But that wanting gets captured and distorted in translation, and it becomes fuel for the world. In return, it gives us nectar in the form of narcissistic supply, or rather a meta supply, for the fearful self that can no longer find bisons to hunt down. Now we hunt each other down in this metaverse, in which narcissistic supply, to use the term, is the common currency. We meet in dreams and we kill in dreams. We proclaim ourselves victorious in dreams only. In the real world, you die at the hands of the faceless killer, humankind. First in spirit, then in mind, and then finally in the flesh. But now let's be more positive. If there is a cure, it must lie dormant within us all.
The beast
wants to live in a world which already resides within it. We all know this world. We exist in it, in dreams. It's not a utopic world. It's not a world generated through reasoning. It's a world generated through acceptance of our limitations and our incredible capabilities, all in one. Rather than following the very human tendency, which shows through history to be pretty common, the tendency of constructing towers of Babel, basically bringing about AI, creating a God, since our God, the one we used to believe in, the one that used to punish us, was murdered by us, rather than seeing our environment as a potential for securing a permanent state of living, which devolves into a permanent state of constant death. Wouldn't it be better to try to create a world in which every day is an adventure? Every day is a surprise. Surprise, surprise, you got eaten by a tiger. Surprise, surprise.